So I guess I'm going to do this Cheers Corner thing about the Neighborhood Leader Program in two parts because I just got out of this training session and it was good. And just while it's fresh on my mind, I want to just repeat a couple of things that I heard that I think will be encouraging, some, especially to some of our present neighborhood leaders. So this was a pretty big group of people, much bigger than the earlier session that I was in this morning, which was just for chairs and vice chairs. But this was 50, 60 people in the room who were pretty much all neighborhood leaders, it sounded like. Bunch of people I have known for quite a while. I didn't realize were neighborhood leaders, but at one point, and a lot of this, and really the most valuable part of it from my point of view is just kind of hearing the discussion among the neighborhood leaders about what's good, what techniques they'd used. And at one point the conversation really turned to people who had been using postcard outreach, which is something that a lot of our people have been doing. And apparently this is especially common in rural areas. So there's one woman, I think it was probably Kim Smith, who's the chair of the rural caucus, but I might be confused about that name. Anyway, she said that she had, when she first started mailing out postcards as a neighborhood leader, that she'd been, thinking it wasn't working because she wasn't getting much response, and that's something some of our neighborhood leaders have gotten a little bit discouraged about too. But she said that when she kept track of these voters, because we do, if you're at a certain point in your work with the Democratic Party, you're likely to have van access, and so she was able to see what the voting records were of, not how people vote, but whether they vote. So she was able to see over a number of years as she was working as a neighborhood leader that these people who she thought she was not having an effect on, their consistency in voting had gone way up. She said had a pretty dramatic impact on the actual likelihood that her neighbors would vote, because they'd all started voting apparently after they'd started getting postcards from her. So that's one thing. And then another, actually a woman I've known for a long time, who she used to be Tobias Reed's chief of staff. And when I saw her in the room, I thought, wow, Veronica, you're a neighborhood leader too. I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I might actually see if I can get her to do one of these things with me, just so you guys can hear her experience as neighborhood leader. But she talked about how long it had taken. She said she'd been working as a neighborhood leader, in her neighborhood for more than 2 years before she could get a particular neighbor of hers to even come to the door. So I guess Veronica had been taking slate cards mostly around to her neighbors and trying to talk to them, but always leaving literature at their doors. And she said that now this particular neighbor, she does come to the door and greets her and takes the literature, and that it had become kind of a race as to whether this particular neighbor of hers can get her ballot turned in, when she's doing this kind of work at get out the vote time, can get her ballot turned in before Veronica can make her first contact with her. So I thought that was kind of sweet. This is something that in Tillamook County we've been kind of speculating that probably it just takes a while. You have to be a neighborhood leader for a while, kind of attempt multiple contacts, so repeated attempts to contact your neighbors over a few years, apparently, or longer, in fact, Veronica said she'd been a neighborhood leader for 10 years. I'm pretty sure she was the one who said that. Anyway, takes a while. And over time, it pays off. And I thought that was encouraging. Wanted more of our people to hear that.